You may be driving right now with one of the most dangerous components installed in your car, and he has absolutely no idea about it. The brake disc is the part that determines whether you stop in time or you hit him, and what almost no one tells you. The problem is that some brake disc brands warp in just a few weeks. They lose efficiency when they heat up, and turn an emergency braking maneuver into a game of Russian roulette. I've seen new cars with the steering wheel shaking in less than 1,000 kilometers. I've seen cracked discs after just a few downhill runs. And I've seen drivers returning to the repair shop in despair, thinking the problem was the suspension, when in fact the problem was with the brake disc from the moment it was installed. Today I'm going to show you the 7 brake disc brands that many mechanics consider the worst on the market, the most serious flaws they hide, and why saving money on this item can cost you much more than you imagine. If you drive every day, transports your family, or simply wants to get home alive, this video could be some of the most important information you'll hear about your car. 1. Duralast, Economy Lines, AutoZone. Duralast, without any exaggeration, is considered by many mechanics to be one of the worst brake disc brands in circulation in economy lines. It's extremely popular, cheap, easy to find. And that's precisely why it appears with alarming frequency in cars that return to the repair shop with problems soon after replacement. Vibration in the steering wheel, pulsating pedal, constant metallic noise, and loss of comfort appear within a few weeks of use. In many cases, the customer replaces the discs and in less than 2 months is back complaining that the brakes are worse than before. The main flaw lies in the disc material, made with low-quality iron and very weak thermal control. These discs heat up too quickly and simply cannot maintain stability when subjected to repeated braking. In urban traffic, the result is premature warping, thickness variation, and almost inevitable uneven wear. Furthermore, the surface finish is usually poor, causing the pads to seat poorly from the first kilometer, creating hot spots that further accelerate deformation. The most dangerous thing is that at first everything seems normal. The brake works, it doesn't make noise, it inspires confidence. But over time, the disc begins to deform silently until the vibration becomes permanent, and the only solution is to replace everything again. That's why many mechanics openly state that using cheap Duralast is practically a guarantee of rework, and they avoid this brand whenever the goal is safety, comfort, and real durability in the brake system. 2. Raybestos, Element/Economy Lines. Raybestos was once a benchmark, but in the Element line and budget versions, it is now considered by many mechanics to be one of the most problematic brake disc brands. It's one of those choices that seems safe because of its traditional name, but often turns into a headache in a short time. Vibration in the pedal, chronic noise, and an uneven braking feel appear very early on, and it's not uncommon to see cars returning to the workshop a few weeks after installation with a clear complaint of vibration. The main problem with these discs lies in the quality of the iron and their low thermal resistance. The material does not withstand repeated heating well, typical of urban traffic and long descents, and begins to deform easily. Many of these discs warp quickly, develop hotspots, and create thickness variations that the driver feels directly on the steering wheel and pedal. Furthermore, heat dissipation is poor, which increases the risk of fading and further accelerates structural deformation. The most frustrating thing is that, on the first day, the brakes even seem good. Normal braking, no noise, correct feel, but after a few thousand miles the system starts to lose stability and comfort, turning a simple replacement into inevitable rework. That's why nowadays, many mechanics clearly state that Raybestos economy lines are among the worst choices on the market and should be avoided whenever the goal is to have truly reliable, quiet, and durable brakes. 3. PowerStop, Economy Lines and Inexpensive Kits. PowerStop is a well-known brand online with aggressive marketing and visually appealing kits, but in its cheaper lines it is considered by many mechanics to be one of the worst possible choices for a brake disc for daily use. In repair shops, these discs frequently appear in cars that come back complaining of vibration, noise, and loss of comfort right after the replacement. It's a brand that sells a lot and comes back a lot. Many mechanics openly state that cheap PowerStop discs are practically synonymous with rework. The main problem lies in the inconsistent manufacturing process. The thickness of the discs varies more than is acceptable. The balancing is uneven, and the material does not withstand temperature variations well. After just a few hard braking maneuvers, the disc starts to develop hot spots, warp slightly, and produce that classic vibration in the steering wheel. Furthermore, the surface finish is often poorly done, causing uneven pad seating from the start and further accelerating uneven wear. The most deceptive aspect is that at first the brake seems excellent. The response is strong, the pedal is firm, and the attractive design inspires confidence. But with real-world daily use, traffic, heat, and repeated braking, the disc begins to deform too quickly. In a short time, noises, vibrations, and a loss of smoothness appear. This is why many mechanics consider the economical power stop a dangerous choice, which may brake well initially, but compromises stability, comfort, and durability in a system that should be absolutely reliable. 4. Bosch, older economy lines / manufactured by third parties. Bosch is a very strong name in the automotive industry, synonymous with technology and quality, and that's precisely why this brand often deceives many people when it appears on cheaper brake discs. In older economy lines, manufactured by third parties to serve the low-cost market, Bosch is considered by many mechanics one of the biggest pitfalls in the industry. The name inspires confidence, but in practice these discs frequently appear in cars with premature vibration, constant noise, and an uneven braking feel just a few weeks after replacement. The main flaw lies in the material quality and extremely poor thermal control. The iron used in these discs has low density and does not dissipate heat efficiently, causing the disc to heat up too quickly and deform easily. In heavy traffic or intense urban use, it is very common for these discs to develop variations in thickness, hot spots, and slight warping, which is enough to cause vibration in the steering wheel and pedal. Furthermore, the poor surface finish leads to uneven pad seating from the start. The most dangerous thing is that almost no one suspects the brand. The driver trusts the Bosch name and thinks they are installing something high-end, when in reality they are installing a disc with low durability and limited thermal stability. That's why many mechanics clearly warn that, in the case of brake discs, not everything that bears the Bosch name is good, and that these older, more economical lines should be avoided when the goal is real safety, comfort, and longevity in the braking system. 5. Brembo, cheap replacement lines and counterfeit products. Brembo is perhaps the most famous name in the world when it comes to brakes, associated with sports cars and high performance, and that's precisely why this brand has become one of the most dangerous when purchased incorrectly. In workshops, many people have learned the hard way that cheap Brembo discs are a sign of trouble. The market is flooded with counterfeits, and very low-cost replacement lines that have absolutely nothing to do with the competition discs that made the brand famous. These discs constantly appear in cars with premature vibration, intense noise, and even thermal cracks after a short period of use. The main problem here is extremely serious. Very poor quality material disguised with a premium name. In counterfeit or cheap discs, the iron is extremely fragile, the density is uneven, and the heat dissipation is terrible. These discs heat up quickly, create violent hotspots, and begin to warp almost immediately in urban or highway use. In more serious cases, discs with internal microcracks have been found after only a few weeks, something extremely dangerous in a safety component. The scariest thing is that the driver rarely suspects it. He believes he's using the best brakes in the world when in fact he's installed one of the worst possible discs for daily use. That's why many mechanics clearly state Brembo is only good when it's original, from an official distributor, and from the correct line. Any cheap version or one of dubious origin is considered a ticking time bomb, capable of transforming a legendary brand into one of the biggest hidden risks in the brake system. 6. Centric, C-Tech/economy lines. Centric is a brand with a strong presence in the North American market and is widely used due to its competitive pricing, but in the C-Tech line and economy versions, it is considered by many mechanics to be one of the most frustrating choices in brake discs. In repair shops, these discs frequently appear in cars that come back complaining of constant vibration, metallic noise, and a feeling of unstable braking shortly after replacement. It's a brand that rarely goes long without requiring some kind of rework. The main problem lies in the extremely uneven finish and balance. Many of these discs leave the factory with small variations in thickness and imbalance that are enough to create vibration from the first few kilometers. Furthermore, the material has low thermal resistance and does not tolerate repeated heating well, causing the disc to quickly develop hot spots and begin to deform under normal urban use. The bedding in of the brake pads is also usually poor, resulting in uneven wear and chronic noise that is difficult to eliminate. The most deceptive thing is that initially the system even seems acceptable. Normal braking, correct response, no obvious symptoms. But in a short time, vibrations appear in the steering wheel, pulsation in the pedal, and a constant noise that doesn't disappear even with new brake pads. That's why many mechanics openly state that Centric's economy lines are among the worst options on the market and should be avoided whenever the goal is to have smooth, quiet, and truly reliable brakes in the long term. 7. Generic/no brand marketplace brands. These are undoubtedly considered by virtually all mechanics the worst brake disc brands on the market. Generic brake discs without a known brand, sold in marketplaces or cheap import stores, are seen in workshops as a real safety risk. They appear with alarming frequency in cars with extreme vibration, constant noise, loss of braking efficiency, and in more serious cases, with visible cracks and deformations after a short period of use. The main problem is that there is practically no quality control in these discs. The iron used is usually low-density recycled iron, full of impurities, with irregular thickness and no heat treatment. This causes the disc to heat up completely uncontrollably, creating violent hotspots and deforming after just a few hard braking maneuvers. Many leave the factory already slightly warped, and others develop thickness variations in a matter of days, rendering the steering wheel and pedal practically unusable. The most dangerous aspect is that we're not just talking about comfort here, but about direct safety. Generic discs have already been found, with internal microcracks, posing a real risk of cracking under intense heat and severe loss of efficiency on long descents. Therefore, within workshops, there's a practically unanimous rule. Never, under any circumstances, a generic disc. The initial savings are minimal, but the risk of rework, brake failure, and even accidents is simply too high to ignore. After everything you've seen so far, one thing is very clear. When it comes to brakes, cheap brands almost always end up being expensive. All these brands I've shown share a common pattern in their problems: low-quality materials, poor thermal control, bad workmanship, and a total focus on reducing costs, not on ensuring safety. The result is always the same: premature vibration, constant noise, rework in a short time, and in the worst cases, a real risk to those inside the car. The most dangerous thing is that almost none of these defects appear on the first day. The brakes work, inspire confidence, seem normal. But with real use, heat, traffic, and repeated braking, the disc begins to silently deform until the vibration becomes permanent, and the only solution is to replace everything again. That's how many people end up paying 2 or 3 times for the same service, thinking the problem was the brake pads, the suspension, or even the alignment, when in fact the cause was in the disc from the beginning. Therefore, if you want to remember just one rule from this video, it's this: never choose a brake disc based solely on price or brand name. Choose based on material, history, and origin. Brakes are not a place to cut corners because they are the only thing between you and an accident when something unexpected happens on the road. And investing in a quality brake disc today could be exactly what saves you from a scare, a big loss, or something much worse tomorrow. If you enjoyed this type of straightforward technical content focused on protecting your car and your safety, subscribe to the channel and follow the upcoming videos. Here I will continue showing the most common mistakes, the parts you should avoid, and the right choices to keep your car safe, comfortable, and running well for many, many years.